It's been a somewhat boring and rather uneventful free agency for a wide majority of the NBA. Apart from a few moves here and there that I wouldn't really call big moves, quote unquote, there's been very little to no movement, especially for two teams and two players on their current team, those being the Golden State Warriors and Philadelphia 76ers, with their current restricted free agents of Jonathan Kuminga and Quentin Grimes, both of which remain free agents and restricted free agents, both of which remain without a new contract and pretty much have no end in sight of their current negotiation. And well, with that being said, could a different team step in and maybe offer something for them? Maybe try and make a sign and trade for them and take them away from their current team? It could be a possibility at this point, as their current teams, again being Golden State and Philadelphia, really have no interest in their current asking price. And well, with that in mind here, could or should the Lakers maybe try and get involved for one of them? After all, they do have the ability to make a sign and trade. No, they don't have cap space, but with them being under the first apron and hard capped at the first apron, they do have the ability to make a sign and trade, which is what it would take to get either one of Jonathan Kuminga or Quentin Grimes through a trade and through a sign and trade. With Jonathan Kuminga, he is reportedly looking for roughly $30 million per year, which is likely a bluff, and he's probably looking for more around $25 million per year. Then for Quentin Grimes, reportedly looking for $25 million per year, so once again likely a bluff, probably around the price range of $20 million per year, which would average out to about a 3-year contract worth $60 million. And by the way, if you're making a sign and trade, you do have to sign said player to at least a 3-year contract up to a 4-year contract, but it does have to be a 3-year contract at the bare minimum. So again, for Quentin Grimes, that might mean a 3-year, $60 million contract, or for Jonathan Kuminga, maybe a 3-year, $80 million contract, or a 4-year contract worth $100 million. So would that be worth it, and could the Lakers benefit from making that kind of sign and trade? Maybe, maybe not. We'll talk about that, what it would take for them to make that sign and trade, if it would be worth it, if the fit would be good, and if that should even be in their mind at this point, and maybe if a LeBron trade can be involved in it through a Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade. So we'll talk about that and where the controversy is coming from that, and break down both the sign and trade for Jonathan Kuminga and Quentin Grimes during today's video. So beginning with the Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade, and if Lakers should have any interest in it, or maybe do have interest in it, I personally don't think they do, and I don't think that'll be a possible route for them to take. Even if you're talking about a LeBron trade with it, which is coming from a report earlier this week, this coming from Jake Fisher, saying that the Warriors have quote-unquote called the Lakers on multiple occasions to try and trade for LeBron James, which dates back to the 2023 NBA trade deadline, once again during the 2024 trade deadline, I think during the latter part of the offseason last year too, so they definitely would like to pair him with Steph Curry, would even be willing to make a trade for him at this point despite now being 40 going on 41. So could a pathway involve a player that they currently don't want, that being Jonathan Kuminga, or rather would prefer to trade him and get some pieces back for him? Again, I don't find it very likely. Yes, it could technically be possible, but very difficult to do. Even if they would sign Jonathan Kuminga to a contract worth roughly $25 to $30 million per year, that wouldn't be enough to replicate LeBron's contract through a trade. And with both Golden State and the Lakers pushing the first apron, both of which can't go over the first apron, then it would be very difficult for them to pull off this kind of trade. Not only would they have to trade Jonathan Kuminga via sign and trade, but then they'd have to include a guy like Draymond Green with Jonathan Kuminga, which wouldn't be a very likely pathway for them to take. LeBron would probably want to play with Draymond Green. They hang out very frequently and do appear to be pretty good friends, so I'm not sure that would be a likely route for them to take. Even apart from a Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade, if they would trade Jimmy Butler, the Lakers apparently don't want him and don't have any interest in a trade for Butler, so I'm not sure this would be a likely pathway for them to take. And apart from simply a LeBron trade with it, could the Lakers or would they have interest in Jonathan Kuminga apart from that? I really don't think so. At that point, you'd be trading a guy like Rui Hachimura to make the money work, and I personally wouldn't go that route. Yes, Kuminga might be the more talented player, quote-unquote, does have more upside compared to Hachimura, but he's not really a fit for a contender in my opinion, is a better fit for a rebuilding team where he can grow and develop and have more opportunity with that team, which he wouldn't get with the Lakers in my opinion, and he wouldn't be the fit for their team that they currently need and what they should be looking for. The absolute only way I see it happening, or even a chance that it would happen, would be if LeBron shocked everyone and demanded a trade to the Golden State Warriors. After all, he does have a no trade clause, so if he would demand a trade, then he probably could dictate where he wants to go. And with the Warriors being the only team that reportedly would trade for him, that's the only route I see somewhat likely, and not even that's very likely in my opinion. That's the only pathway that I would see it happening, and the only way I could see Jonathan Kuminga ending up a Laker via sign and trade. So again, definitely not very likely and definitely don't expect it to happen. And for me personally, I really don't even want it to happen, as I don't think he'd be a great fit for their current team. But then moving on to Quentin Grimes, and if he could be a sign and trade target, much like Golden State with Jonathan Kuminga, Philadelphia does not appear to want to sign him for his reported asking price, which, like I referred to before, is somewhat around $25 million per year. Again, likely bluffing about that, and probably would settle for about $20 million per year. And I think that actually would be a pretty fair price for a guy like Quentin Grimes. Only being 25 years old and coming off the best year of his entire career. Yes, it was with a couple different teams, but no matter where he went and no matter what team he played for, and really has played for other than the Detroit Pistons, he's been a pretty damn good player. Filling everything from a 3-and-D role, and that's been the prominent role of his NBA career so far. Filling it back with New York, then again with Dallas, and then once again for a little bit of Philadelphia. But after both Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and not to mention Paul George, got hurt, that thrust him into a much bigger role offensively, and he took full advantage of it too. After that point, he then went on to average about 22 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, shooting an efficient 47% for the field and 37.3% for 3. That's kind of what both him and his agent are trying to take advantage of. He likely won't have that opportunity again for their team or any other team for that fact. So while he probably won't be putting up 22 points per game again for their team, that is the last thing that both they and we remember of him on the court. So both he and his agent are trying to take advantage of that and probably get a payday from it too. The only question being, would he be worth it? In my opinion, not quite worth the $25 million per year price tag, but really not that far below it. I mean, looking at other 3-and-D players around the league, and Quentin Grimes has shown the ability to be a 3-and-D player, be good on defense and offense, and be a really good 3-point shooting option. Again, only being 25 years old with it, so not even at his ceiling quite yet. I think he probably would be worth around $20 million per year. And well, if that's all it would take to get him, and then not to mention through a sign and trade, it doesn't really take that much to get a player via trade. At that point, the team that's trading away the sign and trade player is simply looking to not lose them for nothing. So if we might be able to do something like maybe Maxi Kleber and Gabe Vincent to get him, trade those two with simply some draft compensation, I would definitely do it. Again, with a sign and trade, it's not a regular trade. You're not making a 1-for-1 kind of trade and therefore having to give up a real trade asset to get that player. So I don't think it would take Rui Hachimura, for example, to get him. If at the absolute most it would, then maybe, but probably wouldn't go that route. Though if it would take only a Kleber, Vincent, and maybe a first-round draft pick swap or two, then I definitely would have interest in it. And with Philadelphia not really working with him for a current contract and not agreeing on the current price for Quentin Grimes, I wouldn't be shocked if a different team stepped in and maybe offered it to him and maybe stole him away from them too. Now again, yes, he does happen to be a restricted free agent, but we're not talking about a regular contract offer here via free agency. We're talking about a sign and trade. So if a team would approach them and offer them a sign and trade for Quentin Grimes, giving him the price that Grimes and his agent are looking for, and a price that Philadelphia is not willing to give him, then they might be willing to make that sign and trade. I mean, I definitely find it more likely for a different team to do that and make that offer for Quentin Grimes, not the Lakers here. But for me personally, and purely from a fan perspective, I wouldn't be entirely against it, and I actually would have real interest in it too. Again, I think he fits their current need, that being for a 3-and-D wing or simply a 3-and-D guard and a bigger guard. Quentin Grimes being roughly 6'5", 205 pounds, with a pretty good wingspan to go with it, with actual background for him playing defense and being able to take on fairly difficult matchups. When he is in that 3-and-D role, he is a good defender, is a very good 3-point shooter, 37.5% career 3-point shooter, not to mention for the corner even better, being a 45.2% career corner 3-point shooter, absolutely terrific. So if they could get a 25-year-old 3-and-D-ish guard that definitely has untapped potential, I would be looking into it, whether I'm the Lakers or any other team for that fact too. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about both Jonathan Kuminga and Quentin Grimes being on the market yet, still not having a contract or even an offer for their current team to show for it? Do you think the Lakers should maybe try and get involved and try to make a sign and trade for one of them? Or do you think they should avoid it and have zero interest in doing that at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.